So last video, we described for you errors per game and how that's changed over the history of Major League Baseball. And we've transitioned from a time when errors were a useful measure of how sure-handed fielders were to an era where it doesn't matter as much because it's not a game of sure-handedness anymore as much as it is a game of range and speed. But let's now talk about fielding percentage. What is wrong with fielding percentage? Now, fielding percentage as a metric is widely used for measuring fielding. So let's briefly define what it is. Fielding percentage is a simple ratio of putouts plus assists to the total of putouts plus assists plus errors. So it's a measure of success by looking at the plays made without errors over all the plays with the errors. But why is this a flawed metric, a flawed measurement of fielding analytics, measuring defensive play by the fielders? The problem with fielding percentage is that in the formula itself, you've got errors, and we've talked about the problem with error as a measurement in the game of baseball. And it doesn't account for when a fielder doesn't even reach a ball in play. Let's talk about the fielding percentage over the history of baseball. It's really a mirror image, in a way, of what we showed with errors per game in a season. We have low fielding percentage during the time when errors actually mattered, measuring the sure-handedness of players. We have this interesting time here during the war years when you had more substitute players. This I don't have any explanation for. Maybe this is a good exercise for the student. What is the reason fielding percentage drops during the early 70s? And why does it rebound and come back? What is this dip actually describing in the game? But you can see fielding percentage is relatively steady over 0.98. So the ratio of putouts plus assists to putouts plus assists plus errors reflects the reduced errors in the game, the reduced number of errors in the game. So that's the data for all time in fielding percentage. But again, it doesn't account for when the fielder doesn't even reach a ball in play. In other words, it's really not getting at range. Let's look at a quote from Bill James. Bill James wrote once, "You have to do something right to get an error. Even if the ball is hit right at you, then you were standing in the right place to begin with." In other words, there's something good that errors are measuring, your ability to get to the ball. Range, as we've described in the previous video, is more important in today's game. Did the player get to the ball? Here's some principles. If you have a smaller range, you're going to reach fewer balls as you try to make the plays, and you're going to have fewer errors because you're not going to get as many balls reached. In contrast, if you have a larger range, you're going to get to more balls in the field of play on defense, and you're going to make more errors. So errors is correlated with range.